Recording in progress.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to Krishna Book Part 3, the 13th class, the final class of the final cohort of the Krishna Book. We're going to be concluding the Krishna Book. We're going to start with chapter 87, the longest chapter. We're going to summarize that and take reflections, and also do the same with chapters 88 and 89, and 90 will be a little bit from. And then we'll take any reflections on your whole experience of 90 chapters of the 10th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, the crown jewel of all the Vedas. So we'll turn on our musician's audio. Where is the setting for that? It's disappeared on me. It's always fun, right? No, it's not up there. It's usually up there and it's not.
You should be on the top.
Yeah,
Live performance audio.
there it is. Found it in the... Okay. Hare Krishna. Kirtan time.
Kirtan. Welcome, sweet souls. Can you confirm you can hear me? La 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 la. Okay. Let's start with our opening prayers, this invocation, this honoring of all of our teachers, the acharyas, the long line of teachers and students that have come before us, gifting us this knowledge, this transcendental knowledge to clear away the dust, the ego, delusion, and help us see the way. Take a deep breath in, fill up. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo bolo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, together. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One more. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One more. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki, Shri Shri Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Harinam Sankirtan ki, Sacred Shastra Study Group ki, the Krishna Book ki, Brahma Bhakti Asanga and beyond ki. Hari Hari Bol, Gaura Premananda.
Om Jnanatimirantasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhupyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, everyone. So this is it. This is our final class
In the Krishna Book.
in the Krishna book. Let's have some reflections to start us off. What stood out from your readings last time? Mary, go ahead.
Here we go. Yeah. Chapter 87 was mind-blowing to me because it put everything together and it kind of like feeling a hammer hit on your head. See, all things lead to Krishna. And the part I put in the chat, I want to read. Because of ignorance, these living entities misidentify themselves in different species of life, and especially when elevated to the human form of life, identified with a particular class of men or nation, race, religion, forgetting their real identities as eternal servants of your lordship. So we're all different, but what I took away from there is we're all leading to the same point in our each little way, that Krishna is there for us if we just unfog that mirror, the dense brain, and just realize and open our eyes to serving, to practicing japa, to prasad, and just being with each other.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's from that 87th chapter that we're going to talk about in a minute. The 87th chapter really kind of summarizes the whole point of every spiritual practice ever, and how they all slot into the gradual development of the consciousness of each individual living entity and of the human beings in society as a whole, and what those different levels are, and what the goal is, what it is, how it is that it even just like kind of logically helps us understand how is it that Krishna is the goal. There's a supreme person behind everything. That's the final goal. And that's none of that is possible until we let go of our designations, because that's as we read yesterday in our Bhagavad Gita recitation, knowledge in the mode of passion is to consider that in every different body, there's a different kind of living entity, as if the living entity is fundamentally different by the different kind of arrangement of whatever body it's in. Like, this is a human body, this is a male body, this is a black, white, old, young body, there's a non-human, but real human culture helps train us to come to the point of recognizing that there is a spiritual spark within each situation, regardless of their outward or inward material differences. And that's the beginning of spiritual advancement. And that's what allows that kind of mode of goodness knowledge. It really opens the door then to receive higher knowledge. Because how can we claim to be like, you know, it's kind of like, in a way, it's almost like fraudulent to say that we care about God or we really want to, we're invested in trying to understand God. If we're still deeply invested in the designations and the isms, the material level, if we were so deeply invested in like, I am this family, I'm this last name, I'm this language, I'm this racial group or ethnic or whatever, or even I am this religious system, that's how I identify, then it's just like another anchor to material consciousness. And there's no question of understanding the transcendence that comes from that source of all these things if we're still like tunnel vision on any aspect of the material creation. Thank you. Yeah. Any more reflections before we jump into chapter 87? 86 was about Arjuna. Arjuna pretending to be a sannyasi and then kidnapping Subhadra. And 85 was about how Krishna returned the six dead sons of his mother, Devaki, and their previous birth, where they came from, just as a memory jog.
Maybe calling somebody who wrote in the chat.
You sure says I should call on somebody who wrote in the chat. So
There was great reflections. Nancy wrote in the chat, Renee wrote in the chat, Pamela wrote in the chat. So did Mary, but Mary just shared. I don't know if Tanya wrote in the chat.
Well, I'll go.
Yeah.
I just thought that
You know.
all of everything that we've done so far just reminds me of like Krishna's mercy of how he shows up, how we need him to show up for us if we're open and willing. With Devaki bringing back the her six sons, but that whole play, and I think Tanya had said it, I missed last week, but that idea that this was already set up way in advance is like what happened with Managriva and Nalakuvera, that the stage is set for this liberation. The stage is set with these six being demons born to Hiranyakashipu, and then, well, not born to him, born to his wife, but sons of Hiranyakashipu, and then coming to be killed by Kamsa, but then brought back by Krishna and then liberated. Pretty.
Yeah.
It's such mercy to Devaki, and mother that he loves, and giving her this opportunity. But it's all throughout all these stories. There's this interaction, like the dude in the cave. I don't remember his name, but there's these interactions that are just really pleasing, and he does it because he understands what's in our heart, and he's going to allow us to express that. So,
Yeah. Muchukunda, King Muchukunda, the cave. It's always amazing how many steps ahead of everything Krishna is when he's arranging these pastimes. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a nice reflection to have at the end of the 10th canto in general, I think, is like that keeps coming up. It's like how Krishna is just displaying these pastimes just to facilitate the bhakti of all these living entities and all the different ways they want to serve him. I was reminded of the different queens. I think that came up the week before. I think it was Kunti was asking how it is that they Kunti and Draupadi were asking about how it is that the queens became married to Krishna, and they were giving their individual stories, 5 or 6 of them, and they were all just so grateful to be serving Krishna, and like each one of those stories is a whole epic in itself, like all the different hoops that Krishna jumps through and the amazing things he displays, and just to allow that love to be reciprocated with perfectly. Yeah. Shakti.
This is it's on topic, but you were sharing I think maybe two ago about how there's that rasa where he sits and he's eating and they love to watch him eat, and so they all sit around him, all the gopas, the
Yeah.
boys, they all sit, right, the cowherd boys. And I'm just wondering, is that the same rasa where his face, everybody can see his face, like his back is not turned to anybody?
Yeah, it's one of those where he is simultaneously reciprocating with everybody. They're all friends, and if you've ever been like with your best friend in a group, it can be hard to get and maintain their attention in the group. And but Krishna is the supreme person; he's the center of all existence. So he's perfectly reciprocating with everybody. So yes, he's looking everybody in the eye, and they're feeling
So
completely received.
yeah, and that's kind of just jumping off of what Nancy was saying, is like one of, again, another one of those Rosses where nobody is left out, and he's giving everyone thinks they're getting his full attention. Just like when he's married to all these women, they all think, well, I'm the one, he's loving me, I'm getting all the attention, like I'm getting all the love. It's just, it's so beautiful, right? It's just, that's the rasa that he wants to give is, I'm paying attention to you and I love you and I can hear you and I see you. That's a beautiful, like, kind of offering to want to just continue to have in all of and have come up again and again in his
Yeah,
stories and
thank you. It
rasas.
happened in the Rasa Leela too, where he was side by side with he expanded himself to be side by side with every gopi, dancing and singing and reciprocating with them. And it's only Krishna can do that. Only Krishna can actually perfectly reciprocate with every living entity. So, yeah, we saw it with Govardhan too. He lifted Govardhan Hill and he was with everybody at the same time.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, we'll have more reflections throughout and also at the end. We're going to leave plenty of hopefully space at the end um, to reflect on anything that you experienced in this whole Krishna book reading. So, with that being said, we'll jump in now to chapter 87. Krishna 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 Hey Krishna 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 Hey Krishna 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 Rakshama Krishna 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 Pahimam Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rakshama Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Pahimam. Chapter 87, Prayers by the Personified Vedas. So I won't read this whole chapter um, with you, but in summary, this chapter begins with a question. And the question is echoed, which what it means is that Maharaj Parikshit basically asks the question, um, okay, so how is it that with ears and a tongue and a mind and all these other paraphernalia that are just composed of material energy, right? Like we can understand that as we're growing older, our sense of hearing or vision or whatever gets worse. These are just like instruments composed of the material energy, the mind too, the material mind. So Maharaj Parikshit's question is, how is it that with instruments of matter, we can actually approach, taste, assimilate, understand that which is beyond matter? The supreme person, the transcendence. Like, how is it that the material can approach the spiritual? How does that even work? And Shukadeva Goswami hears the question. He basically says, that's a great question. And it's been asked before. Let me tell you about that. And he shares one pastime where it was asked before. And in that pastime, the two persons involved also say, it was asked before again. And they share another flashback. So this is kind of an all-time question. And over the course of, probably 150 pages in the actual book, the question is answered over the course of what amounts to only like I think 28 or 30 verses in the actual Bhagavatam chapter. It's actually prayers spoken by the verses of the Vedas, all of the collected scriptures. the Vedas. And at the beginning of, because creation runs in cycles, there's different cycles of creation. When the cycles start again, the Lord is woken up in his form of Karna Dakshaya Vishnu, Mahavishnu. The Vedas personified actually approach him and offer prayers to him to wake him up and glorify him, to start another day of Brahma, another lifetime of Brahma, another several billion long cycle or trillion long cycle to get things going. They're glorifying who he is, and they know because they're the actual Shastra. And so over the course of these verses, the whole philosophy of what spirituality actually is, what the different levels of it are, what they look like, and how the supreme goal of it is actually the Supreme Person is presented with all logic. And it's very systematic. It's very, it's done in a way, technically the term for it in Sanskrit is what's called, I think, Purva Paksha, which means like when an author wants to establish a point, instead of just saying what the point is, they'll offer all of the arguments against the point, right? So let's say I'm writing a book, and in the book I want to make the case that, I don't know, ice cream is the greatest dessert ever created, right? So I could make that book, and to do that, Purva Paksha would mean I have a chapter on, well, what if someone says chocolate's the greatest dessert? What if someone says cake, right? And I actually answer those things. So in this chapter, Srila Prabhupada actually systematically answers every philosophical question more or less one can ask about spirituality. At one point or another in this chapter, they are asked and answered with reference to scripture. None of it is just Prabhupada talking. They're all with reference to scripture, and often he will also elaborate. So what about no creator? What about we're all one with the Lord? What about, and actually all these modern ideas are presented and refuted, answered and rounded out, and also the Vedic ideas, right? So the basic question of is there, like, how is it that with matter we can approach spirit? And the fundamental answer that comes up is because the source of matter and spirit is the same. And the source of matter and spirit is a person. And because they are a person, they can choose. For us, even in our condition of being surrounded by matter, limited by matter, conditioned by matter, blinded by it, to still be able to approach them using only matter. Why? Because it's their matter. It's the source's matter. It's God's matter. Even though it's their inferior energy, it's still their energy. So the basic answer boils down to, well, how can I use my material tongue and ears to approach the spiritual source, which is not material? The answer is because the source is a person and wants you to be able to. That's the basic answer. And in order to flesh that out, these prayers of the personified Vedas are offered. And Prabhupada elaborates on each of the prayers so that we as the reader can understand how that makes sense. We don't just blindly accept the idea of a personal deity, a personal source, a source at all. So, yeah, Srila Prabhupada talks about atheism. He talks about and addresses it. He addresses what's called the darshanas. In the Vedas, the interpretations of the Vedas, there are what's called 6 primary darshanas. Darshana means a vision or beholding. It comes from the Sanskrit root drishya, which means to see. And the darshanas refer to 6 fundamental philosophical camps. And all of them have a different kind of take, right? One will focus more on this, one more on that. Just like in any academic culture, you'll have, let's say, just any philosopher, or you go to like any humanities department, you'll have all the different English professors will be like, no, I think Heart of Darkness is about this. No, Shakespeare meant that. No, he meant this. There's different arguments. So historically, it's boiled down to 6 basic camps, and Prabhupada describes what they are, and each one of them has a different contribution to the accumulated wisdom of the Vedic tradition. None of them are actually false, but only one of them is true in all respects. One of them actually creates and amalgamates all the truth of the other one. So, for example, Nyaya, the Nyaya school is a school of logic. And the Nyaya school is what's responsible for offering these standards for any philosophical discourse in the Vedic tradition of how to actually create a dialogue to determine what's truth, right? For example, Nyaya explains that if you want to understand what truth is and you want to have like a discussion, there are different levels of discussion. If I get together with somebody and we have a difference of opinion, and my goal in that discussion is just to bring the other person down and defeat them and make them look bad or personally attack them, Nyaya explains that is a discussion in the mode of ignorance, right? For example, if you look at political ads, political campaigns, attack ads, right? In the mode of passion means my goal going into it is not to demean them. My goal is to win. I've already decided that I know what the truth is and I want to establish that my truth is correct. That is where most discourse happens in this age. Mode of goodness means, and is only possible when both or all parties are committed to the truth. Yes, I have my point of view. Not only do I respect my opposition and other points of view, I actually fundamentally respect the truth higher than any of these differences of opinion. And if that makes me wrong, and I have to change my mind because of this discussion, so be it. I'm here to learn, and we're all here to share the truth. That's what we're doing, right? So Nyaya offers that. There's like the contributions of Gautama Rishi and Karnada Rishi and the different darshanas, and so the ins and outs and the details of each six of these darshans is given in this chapter. And only what's called Uttaramimamsa, or let's find the other term for it here. Sankhya philosophers, the Purvamimamsas, impersonalism is there, and then what's called the Uttaramimangsas, or the Bhaktivedantas, like the perspective that the source is actually both personal and impersonal. Some of these other darshanas, they get hung up on some of the statements of the Vedas that focus on we're different from the Lord, but also we're the same as the Lord, right? Like, for example, he is within everything. Those statements, those kinds of statements, he's within everything, he's pervading everything. They're all over the Vedas. And certain aspects, certain other interpretations of the Vedas will only focus on those things and say, therefore, we're all the same. We're all one with the Lord. But they cannot actually make an honest interpretation of the Vedas because they have to ignore all the statements that say we're different, right? For example, Nityo Nityanang Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunang Yoviditati Kaman. That's from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, which says that there is one supreme eternal among all the eternals, one conscious living entity among all the living entities, who is feeding and supplying and maintaining all the other living entities, right? That's the difference between me and the source, between you and the source. We're not actually feeding ourselves. We're being fed. We're not actually even breathing. We're being breathed. We have this little breathing contraption, called the respiratory system. We didn't invent it. We're born with it if we're lucky. And it breathes for us. And all these other things, and they're being provided for us. And here's this wonderful, convenient little atmosphere with oxygen molecules, and all of it's coming to us. And that's because there's a source that is the source of all these oxygen molecules and lungs and apparati. And we're not that source. We're being supported, right? So the only honest interpretation of the Vedas includes the verses that stress our oneness and the verses that stress our difference. So over the course of a whole chapter, Prabhupada systematically presents each one of these points of view and concludes over and over and over again. Therefore, what Bhagavatam is saying is what we have been saying all along, right? The message is not any different in this chapter, as it always has been in the whole Krishna book, in all the Bhagavad Gita. Anything you read of Srila Prabhupada, anything in the Bhakti line will have the same conclusion. The difference is in this chapter, everything is gone through very, very step by step. So I think Mary came over today, and Mary was saying you could have a whole like class or a series of classes just on this, because she read this whole chapter. So kudos to you, Mary. And I said, yeah, you can. You really can, because it is the full description of the whole philosophy. So That's kind of it in a nutshell. I'll read a little bit from it just to give us a taste, and just kind of picking at random. Let's see what Krishna has for us here. In all the Vedas, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entity are stated to be of the same quality, Chaitan or spiritual. This is confirmed in Padma Purana, where it is said there are two kinds of spiritual entities. One is called the Jiva, and the other is the Supreme Lord. From Lord Brahma down to the ant, all living entities are Jivas, whereas the Lord is the Supreme Four-Handed Vishnu, or Janardana. Strictly speaking, the word Atma can be applied only to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but because the living entities are his parts and parcels, sometimes the word Atma is applied to them also. The living entities are therefore called Jivatma, and the Supreme Lord is called Paramatma. Both the Paramatma and the Jivatma are within this material world, and therefore this material world has a purpose other than sense gratification. The conception of a life of sense gratification is illusion, but the conception of service by the Jivatma to the Paramatma, even in this material world, is not at all illusory. A Krishna conscious person is fully aware of this fact, and thus they do not take this material world to be false, but they act in the reality of transcendental service. The devotee therefore sees everything in this material world as an opportunity to serve the Lord. Yeah, this is part of a section where Prabhupada is refuting the impersonalist idea that the world is actually fundamentally false. It's not false. It's just not eternal. It can't be false. It comes from the Supreme Real. How could it be false? It's just a place for us. It's a classroom. It's a place for us to learn our lessons and apply ourselves in the service of the Lord. So those are some thoughts on the 87th chapter. That is the world's most abbreviated, hyper-condensed run-through. And I would love to hear any reflections on what you heard or anything that, if you read the chapter or any questions you have around it, we can explore now.
I really appreciate how, Prabhupada spent so much time here explaining this philosophy from all these different angles and perspectives, and that it often we can find those that are really passionate about their practice or their philosophy or their belief system aren't open to hearing the other side or another side.
Right.
And that analogy you shared about writing a book on ice cream being the best book, and it's I have many arguments to go against that. I'm chocolate and carrot cake all the way, but to have that conversation then around finding the truth, not just I'm right or I want how did you put it, that it was I want to demean you or I want to prove that I'm right and you're wrong. But rather let's just get to the truth, and we actually can find truth perhaps even in both of what we're saying, but maybe not the complete truth in all other paths or beliefs. And so I find it remarkable how in the Vedas it's truth is described and presented in its fullness and in smaller ways too. And just that that is open, that's on the table to have the conversation of let's talk about this from all different angles.
One of the definitions of absolute truth is that it incorporates and contains within all relative truths. So for example, in our philosophy, which is not our philosophy, it's just what Bhagavatam is saying, it's the complete presentation of all the Vedas. It's explained that Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan are all one. They're not different from each other, but they're different manifestations of the Supreme, right? And Bhagavan is the most complete form of the Supreme, and it contains within it Paramatma and Brahman. So in this chapter, among so many other things, there is a discussion of what that is. Brahman realization, Paramatma realization, Bhagavan realization. And how is it that Bhagavan realization contains within it, for example, impersonal realization? We're not against the idea that the source is impersonal. We're against the idea that the source is only impersonal.
Right.
It's not only impersonal. It's impersonal and personal. In fact, of the two, ontologically, the impersonal comes from the personal. A person can have an impersonal energy, right? How is that possible? I can not shower for a couple of days, and walk into a room and then leave the room and you can still smell me. And that's my energy. Or I can leave you a voicemail. That's my energy. Is it me? It is, but it's also not, right? I can leave you a gift. I can leave you a note.
Coming from you.
It's coming from me. It's an extension of me. It's a willful representation of me. It's my energy. Because I'm a person. I have energies. I'm a very insignificant person. What to speak of the supreme person? How much more it's true for him? He can be supremely impersonal. He can give you the supreme cold shoulder. You don't want to see me? Okay, you don't have to see me. I am invisible to you. You can have a existence devoid of personhood. That is a gift the supreme person can give you. So our argument is not against impersonalism. Our argument is against the idea that impersonalism is actually a goal for us. It's not. It is contained within and subservient to personalism. And so all these conceptions, including partial conceptions of the supreme person, are expressed in this chapter. And I strongly recommend reading and imbibing that wisdom, because it's only possible to have these apparently disparate viewpoints reconciled from the point of view and under the guidance of somebody who's actually above that, right? What we're getting with Srila Prabhupada is we're getting somebody with very, very high realization. That's why he can draw together. Prabhupada could talk to this kind of person, that kind of person, this person with that kind of conception of God, person with that kind of conception of God, and meet them where they're at, because Prabhupada is a very, very advanced devotee. The person who propagates bhakti around the world had to be, because it required a certain amount of depth. Couldn't just be anybody. So we're very fortunate to be reading these things. And Shukadev Goswami, Maharaj Parikshit, Narada Muni, these great devotees in this chapter, they're very advanced devotees. So we're hearing their realizations, which are quite well-rounded. They're not sectarian and limited. Yeah.
So I love how you said that the answer to the question. So the answer, how do we, with instruments of matter, can we approach the spiritual concept and person? Because the source is a person and wants you to. I'm thinking back to conversations that I keep having with Frank, my husband, who keeps asking, if the point is to get back to Godhead and be with Krishna, well, then why are we even doing this? He keeps asking that question. I don't know the answer to the question, except for I think I could say, because Krishna's the source, he's a person and he wants to have us do this. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, that's the question Frank keeps asking me that I can't answer. But does that work in this context? Because Krishna wants us to go through this process?
Define this. When he says, if the goal is to be with Krishna, then why are we doing this? What does this mean in that sentence? Why are we doing this whole world?
Yeah, why do we even exist? Why do we exist and in this condition that we have to try to go back to find Krishna?
Right. Yeah. And so the answer to that question revolves around free will. Agency. Because that's the whole goal is a free relationship with him. It's not actually just to be dominated and taken by force against our will. If that was Krishna's goal, like, it's over. It's over. There's no fight, right? He's got nobody else that can compete. This is not a battle. He wants to be conquered by love, and we have the capacity to also be conquered by him in love, and that requires a free exchange. But to get to that, then, for those who are interested at the current time in some other selfish idea of what reality is, some limited idea of what reality is, there is a process for getting out of that. There is a step-by-step of getting out of that. And this world is, in short, the place to work that out. There has to be a place to work that out. Because otherwise you have two possibilities. You never work it out, or Krishna works it out for you, which isn't love. Your parents come and solve all your problems for you. It doesn't really feel like you accomplished something. There's got to be a place for you to grow up and make mistakes and learn and apply yourself. There's got to be a way to do that. That's adult life. That's real life. So Krishna is giving us space to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I love that. He wants us to choose him out of love.
He wants that, and he knows it's what's best for us, and he's giving the opportunity, and he is also at the same time facilitating all the other ideas we may have temporarily, while trying to coax us. Okay, yeah, but try this. Try a little more bhakti. Here's another chance.
You know, sorry. Um, sorry.
Tanya, do you feel complete?
Yes, I feel complete.
Okay, go ahead, Shakti.
I was going to just say that I can't remember what I was listening to, because I'm always listening to a book or something, and it says that, oh my God, I just lost my thought.
It'll come back.
Okay. If it comes back, I'll put my hand up.
Okay. Any more reflections on chapter 87? Or questions?
I have one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Page 723, I kind of circled the Bhakti house, that, and I'm kind of reviewing why did I put this? And I know why.
Oh,
I'm going to read again. Krishna conscious persons therefore take shelter of the association of devotees in a sanctified place, which I call the Bhakti house in my heart, and in places of pilgrimage. Such persons are aware of the relationship between the supersoul and the individual living entities, and they are never in the bodily concept of life because they always carry you in full consciousness within their hearts. They are so purified that any place they go, even if it's in Burlington, Vermont, they go because it's a holy place of pilgrimage, and the water which washes their feet is able to deliver many sinful persons, not me, but we might say me, loitering within the material world.
thank you. Yeah, the necessity of Sangha. Always crucially important. Thank you. Well, this is the Sangha right here. This is why you all come and you make it happen. It takes, like, I could just be reading on my own, and that's wonderful. But it's also, I got to say, really special that we're all getting together. So, secret reason why the internet was invented.
We reached Astra.
Reach Shastra together from around the world. Special magic. We can move on to chapter 88 and 90, 89 and 90, and we can take more reflections at the end, if that's okay. So, chapter 88, the deliverance of Lord Shiva. So in this chapter, there's a question that's posed that why is it that Parikshit asked Sukadeva Goswami, why is it that the devotees of Lord Shiva are often materially very opulent, but devotees of the Lord, of Vishnu, Krishna, they're often not, and sometimes like notably not, like very not. Like we see with Sudama Brahmana, who was so poor he couldn't even eat properly. His wife sent him to go take shelter of Krishna. And why is that the case? And then this chapter kind of breaks it down for us. And there's a description of a very nice pastime between Lord Shiva and how he gets in a bit of a situation because he gives benedictions to a demoniac person. One of Shiva's names is, I'm trying to remember the Sanskrit, Ashutosha. Ashutosha means easily satisfied. And he very quickly, very easily gave a benediction to this demon. Was it Vrikasura? Yeah, Vrikasura. And Vrikasura wanted a benediction that any person he touched, their head would crack open. You know, what a horrible thing. He had performed awful austerities. In fact, he was cutting pieces of his own body and offering it into a fire. And he was about to cut off his own head in sacrifice when Lord Shiva came to him. So it was just really dark stuff, right? This is the kind of mentality he had. And when he got the benediction, he looked at Lord Shiva and he thought, well, now I can kill him. You know, and I could steal his wife for myself and all these other crazy ideas. And so Lord Shiva ran and took shelter of the Lord Vishnu, who came in the form of a little boy and tricked Vrikasura and said, why are you chasing after Lord Shiva? And the demon explained his reasons. And the little boy said, well, I don't really trust this Lord Shiva. He's given you this so-called benediction that you can crack anybody's head. I don't think he actually did it. I think he's a liar. You should test it on yourself first. And he was so cute and so charming and so innocent that this demon was like, okay, touch his own head, dead. And the pastime concludes that way. But the question is answered with a very famous kind of verse. It's 1088.8 in the Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam 1088.8. Yasyahang anagrhanami harishe tanang shanai tato tanang tajat yasya sojana dukha dukitam. Krishna said, if I especially favor someone, I gradually deprive them of their wealth. Then the relatives and friends of such a poverty-stricken person abandon them. In this way, they suffer one distress after another. And in that verse is kind of like the extreme example of how Krishna sometimes shows his mercy by withholding material advancement. Whereas different demigods will offer some benediction based on if one has paid the price for it, Krishna doesn't actually just engage in a mercantile exchange with you. Right? If you go to a merchant, their goal is to make money. Their goal is not to care about you, right? If you pay the price, you get the thing. Like, nobody can say that the merchant cares about you. Does a drug dealer care about you? I mean, they're a merchant. Not that the demigods are drug dealers, but the point is, there's this point that the consciousness of Krishna is fundamentally different. He doesn't just give because you've quote unquote earned it. He wants to see that whatever you get doesn't degrade you. And this came up in other chapters too, right? We saw with Sudama Brahmana, who was very poor. He was so poor that it was actually a problem. He didn't even ask for anything. He just went to see Krishna out of love. And Krishna gave him all this opulence because he knew that Sudama wasn't going to get distracted by that. If anything, Sudama was attached to being austere. He was a little too austere. He was a little too into the whole simple life thing. And Krishna was like, "Oh, let's break you of that and give you like some wealth, some comfort." And so we have this other chapter where you have a Brahmin who's very poor and the king of Mathila, and they both serve Krishna, and Krishna expands himself and goes into their houses, and one serves them with a straw mat and water and dances for them and is so happy, and the other one gives him all the opulence of a king, and Krishna is equally satisfied. And so Krishna is not like, okay, he's not thinking, oh, how can I make my devotee rich? He's thinking, how can I help my devotee to come to me, right? And unless they can handle it, I won't distract them. I won't confuse them with some material opulence that'll be too much for them, that'll confuse their mind, that'll take them away from me. If I give them some material opulence, it'll be in such a way that they lose attraction for that, not that they become more and more entangled. So the final conclusion, the most extreme example of that is this verse, Yasya Hamanu Grihnami, 1088.8. If I really, really like you, Krishna says, then I take everything away, right? There's that kind of expression, I think, came from Wisdom of the Sages. Raghu kind of coined it. If God likes you, he gives you.
Everything you want.
And if he loves you, he takes it away.
Yeah.
Because it's actually more mercy to be deprived. In the sense that it leaves you without any alternative than to take shelter of him. Not to say that we're afraid of or averse to material situations, but Krishna is careful from his point of view not to give us something we can't handle. He doesn't want us to become, lost again in the weeds of the material world. It's like, ooh, opulence, wealth, beauty, sex, fame, food, the heavenly planets, whatever. It's like those are all useless from Krishna's point of view. So he'll fulfill material desires only so far as necessary, so that one doesn't become more and more confused. And he'll do it in such a way that one loses gradually the taste for them. And if he needs to, then he'll apply his special mercies, taking everything away. And Prabhupada talks about himself very humbly. He said, actually, Krishna did this to me. I was set up to be an extremely successful business person, and it's described by contemporaries of Srila Prabhupada that Srila Prabhupada was really good at what he was doing. He had the astrological science for being like an absolute breakthrough, one of the all-time most powerful and successful merchants in the pharmaceutical trade in India. And Krishna took all that away. He was cheated by his partners. His marriage didn't really work out very well. Prabhupada had a lot of challenges. He tried to establish bhakti in India. It didn't work in so many ways. There's so many things that was like very, very challenging. And Prabhupada said, Krishna took all these things away to force me to become very serious. That was Prabhupada's interpretation. That, eventually he really focused back in on his guru's instructions to him. You go, please share this in English around the world, become a sannyasi, even become a monk, and leave the working world, leave all that behind, translate these books. And Prabhupada did. And of course, it was a crazy mission. He came to the West with no money, no connections, absolutely like wild decision. And it was at the age of 80 plus years old, had 2 heart attacks on the way, and the rest is just history, because it was very much what was necessary to do. But Prabhupada's reflection in hindsight was that Krishna had to take everything away from me to accelerate that, to make it really clear that I had to do this. I had to just jump in 2 feet, just jump right off that cliff and let Krishna catch me. So sometimes he'll do that. Sometimes Krishna will take everything away, completely like wipe you out. And it can really, really hurt. Prabhupada even said that. He was talking about it in a class, about how much it hurt, how much it sucked for everything to fall apart. And his disciples who were looking at this world guru were laughing. And Prabhupada said, no, it's not funny. It hurt. It was very painful. Because you can laugh now, seeing how it was all successful. But at the time, it can really suck. It can really be really, really painful. So just a little bit of a glimpse into Krishna's special mercy. If it manifests that, it can do that. It can be really be very dark before the dawn. So that's the answer to Parikshit's question, is that Krishna doesn't whimsically just fulfill people's material desires. He's fundamentally interested in their eternal and long-lasting benefit. And so then he's not going to give them something that's going to help them to forget him and distract them more and more. Whereas Lord Shiva may do that. Any demigod may do that. Hare Krishna. That's chapter 88. Any reflections on that? Did you have your hand up earlier, Shakti?
I wrote it down. I remembered it. I can't remember. I just did a paper on Nectar of Devotion, because I'm doing my Bhakti Shastri. So I don't know if it came from there, but or maybe the Mahabharata. Anyway, it's all about, it talks about, because a child can walk, right? So a child is crawling, 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 and a child can walk because the child, in the soul, in the being of the child, already has the ability to walk, but learns how to walk because it's already in the making of the child. And he compares it, and I don't know if he says the making of the child, but those are my words. But what he compares it to is that we already have Krishna in our soul, in our heart. He's already, his sparks, we are him. We are him. And because we are him, it's just, it's almost like you're saying, like he's just waiting once we were like, and then when they were like, oh, and then we're there, and it's like, we can see that we're him because it's already in there.
Yeah, it's not created.
Right, like we forgot. So like same with the child who couldn't walk, if didn't and already have the ability, they couldn't just get up and walk.
Yeah, they're designed to, though. Just like a bird is designed to fly. Eventually, the mother will just be like nudging it, pushing it out of the nest, because it knows they can fly. Even the child doesn't believe it yet. Parents know you're made to fly. This is what was meant to be. So similarly, yeah, that kind of analogy is there for us too. That the child will walk because they're designed to walk, and they don't have to. They need the right environment to bring it out, but it's not actually something that's extraneously given to them. It's part of their blueprint. So spiritually, we have a blueprint. We have a relationship with the Supreme. It doesn't actually change it whether we believe that that's the case or not. It just is always the case. We always have a relationship with the Supreme. Anything spiritual is eternally true. Things that are material, those are the things you have to work for. You may or may not be qualified for. Someone said to me, Shamya, I want you to study the Russian language, and in 3 months I want you to be fluent in speaking Russian. I may or may not be able to do that. Maybe yes, maybe no. That's a material thing. Maybe I have the mind for it. Maybe I have the training for it. Maybe I don't. Shamya, I want you to be a Major League Baseball player. start at the age of 44 now and go make the majors. Like, I wouldn't hold your breath, I could barely walk on this broken toe right now. Like, let's not get ahead of ourselves because that's a material thing, right? But if someone said, Shami, I want you to develop a relationship with Krishna, it's like, yeah, anybody can do that. And it doesn't matter whether you can make it to the big leagues. It doesn't matter whether you can master a language. Those are material things you may not ever be qualified for. Mm-hmm. But you are qualified for a relationship with the Supreme because you already have that relationship. You're just uncovering it. It's not an external thing. It doesn't require the right intellect, the right body, the right teacher. No. It's very simple. Birds can fly, kids can walk, the soul can love God.
That's what I remembered.
Okay, chapter 89. The super excellent power of Krishna. So in this chapter, there's a discussion of a pastime between a series of sages who want to understand whether of the three, what's called the Trimurti, the three main deities, Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. There's Shiva oversees the mode of ignorance, Brahma, mode of passion, Vishnu, the mode of goodness. Vishnu, of course, is an expansion of Krishna. They want to understand which of these three deities is supreme. And so they ask Bhrigu Muni, they depute Bhrigu Muni, one of their number, to go test. And the test is, Bhrigu Muni insults each one of them. And he wants to see how they will put up with the insult. And so he goes to Brahma, and he goes to Shiva, and he goes to Vishnu. And he performs an insult to each one of them. And the way he insults them is very instructive because he insults Brahma in his mind, with his attitude, with his thinking. With Lord Shiva, he uses insulting words. And with Lord Vishnu, he actually kicks him in the chest. just walks right up to him and without anything, no preamble, just kicks him right in the chest. With his body, he performs an insult. And Prabhupada explains this is how insults are graded. An insult in the mind, worse than that is to let it come out of your mouth, right? And that's when you start to have some real responsibility for it. And then worse than that is to actually affect it with your body. You punch somebody or something, then it's like really bad, right? And he describes too in Kali Yuga, in this age, we are not culpable. We don't receive sinful reactions just for doing things wrong in our mind. Because if we did, we'd be in so much trouble. Yeah. Because it's Kali Yuga, our minds are so out of control. But that doesn't mean you want to kind of cultivate a chaotic mind, because the problem is whatever you keep going on upstairs is going to come out of your mouth, and it's going to be affected by your body anyway. You're going to act it out. Things move from subtle to gross in the world anyway. So you do want to keep that thing as clean as possible, your mind. But still, we don't really get a result from just thinking bad things. But as soon as it comes out of your mouth, that's when people's feelings get hurt, right? That's when you're responsible now. So you didn't have to say that. You said it. Now it's really painful. So Bhrigu, he insults Brahma in his mind, and Brahma can't tolerate it. He goes to Shiva and he speaks harsh words, unwarranted harsh words, and Lord Shiva becomes angry. He goes to Vishnu, and with no context, no reason, just kicks him right in the chest. And what does Vishnu do? He says, "Oh my Lord, dear Bhrigu Muni, I'm sorry if my hard chest was too hard for your soft Brahman's feet. Please let me massage you." Mm-hmm. He's like, just starts to serve Bhrigu Muni. And Bhrigu is overwhelmed and leaves and goes back to the other sages and explains it's Vishnu. And Prabhupada explains here that the greatness of a person can be estimated by their ability to tolerate provoking situations. The Lord is completely transcendental. So he has nothing to gain and nothing to lose. You can't actually knock him off his game. You can't actually take him down a notch. You can't get in his head. You can't bother him. It's like Bhrigu came and just straight up attacked him. And the Lord's just like, yeah, but you're a great devotee. You're a Brahmana. How can I serve you? Are your feet okay? I've been working on my pecs a little hard. I hope I didn't hurt you. He's just so loving. And Bhrigu realizes that this is the proof. Yeah, Krishna is actually transcendental. He's actually higher. Vishnu is higher than these other deities. So in this chapter, we see that logic. And the other thing that happens here is we have a nice pastime where Arjuna, there's kind of a convoluted pastime, but what happens is Krishna ends up taking Arjuna outside the universe. They pierce the coverings of the universe and they leave it. and they were taken to the abode of Mahavishnu, who is an expansion of an expansion of an expansion of Krishna. And Mahavishnu explains that I've created this whole situation just to see you, Krishna, just to see your great devotee. And Arjuna's like, wow, what's going on? And we see here how even Krishna's expansions want to associate with Krishna, the original supreme person. Even though Mahavishnu is God, he's actually God. He's not one of us. He's not a human or a devotee of God in the limited category. He's an expansion. He's an avatar. He's responsible for manifesting the material universes. They come out of his body like each pore of his body manifests a universe. That's how big he is. Every pore of his body manifests a universe. And his breathing, his one breath in, one breath out is the whole lifetime of a universe, 311 trillion, 80 billion years. But he himself is like, I want to see Krishna. So that's another pastime here that takes up the second half of this chapter. Very sweet. Wow. Can't believe I'm skimming over these chapters so fast, but we do what you got to do. Any reflections, comments, questions on that chapter? One more to go.
When I was talking, but it's very helpful I mean, that's the three types of insults is also just like really practical for
Yeah,
us
good
to think
etiquette,
about.
knowledge.
Yeah, and how we engage in the world with other people, whether the devotees or not.
Yeah.
Probably specifically like in our most intimate relationships, or maybe we wouldn't act like that with other people, but in that safety, like maybe you say something without really thinking it through, or
Yeah,
what to speak of if you do something with your body,
right.
with that,
Yeah.
and
And
the
also,
amount of harm that causes.
yeah, the sentient living entity.
Yeah.
We see advanced devotees, they're very careful and they're very sensitive to the mark they leave on the world.
Mm-hmm.
They're very careful not to hurt other living entities. They're very careful with their words. They cultivate purity of thought,
Mm-hmm.
of speech, and of action.
Mm-hmm.
That's a symptom of real advancement, is to recognize that we are extremely powerful, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't just give love to everybody, at least don't hurt them. Just be kind. At least just be kind.
Mm-hmm.
It's not it. It's one of those things where it's like you learned it in kindergarten and it seems so elementary, but it actually doesn't stop being relevant. And the ability to actually do that, even in the face of very deeply provoking situations, is a sign of advancement, because that is not easy to do,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
To forgive somebody, what is it? To err is human, to forgive is divine. It's a very advanced thing to forgive somebody who actually, like, yeah, you did something that was completely unjustified and wrong and hurtful, and I forgive you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very, very high consciousness to think about Krishna is putting up with, right, from all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything, and he's just like facilitating all of it over and over again. How forgiving and how tolerant he must be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a glimpse into the perfectional mind state. Yeah, there's a lot there.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I think I'm going to jump into 80 to 90, because then I'll leave time for reflections for everybody on anything in the Krishna book. So chapter 90, summary description of Lord Krishna's pastimes. Here we go. Okay. So there's a beautiful description of the philosophy. It's kind of a summary of the philosophy. And there's a beautiful series of prayers that the queens of Dwarka are giving about Krishna in separation from him. I'll read a little bit from them so you get a taste of it. They're praying like this: "O breeze from the Himalayas, what have we done to you that you're so intent on teasing us by awakening our lust to meet Krishna? Do you not know that we have already been injured by the crooked policy of the personality of Godhead? Dear Himalayan breeze, please know that we have already been stricken. There is no need to injure us more and more. Dear beautiful cloud, the color of your beautiful body exactly resembles the bodily hue of our dearmost Shyama Sundara. We think, therefore, that you are very dear to our Lord. And because you're dear to him, you are absorbed in meditation exactly as we are. Dear black cloud, we must admit frankly that to establish an intimate relationship with Shyama Sundara means to purchase unnecessary anxieties while we are otherwise comfortable at home. My dear swan, please come here, you're welcome. Please sit down and take some milk. Can you tell me if you have any message from Shyama Sundara? I take you to be a messenger from him. If you have any news, please tell me. etc., etc. Beautiful, beautiful prayers. And then there's a description of the 5 special opulences of Krishna that are manifested in the Bhagavatam, and that are only manifested by Krishna. So the first excellence is that Lord Krishna's appearance. How does it go? Lord Krishna's appearance in the Yadu family before Lord Krishna's appearance in the Yadu family, the river Ganges was known as the purest of all things. Even impure things can be purified simply by touching the Ganges. But by Krishna's appearance, it was more effective in purifying than even the effects of the Ganges. Krishna's appearance was supremely purifying. The next excellence of Lord Krishna was that although he gave protection to the devotees and he annihilated the demons, both the devotees and the demons achieved the same result because he gives liberation even to the demons. Some of them were given personal liberation. They received personal forms to serve him, like, Putana. Putana was a demon, an assassin, murderer, and she was given the position of a mother. And some of the demons got impersonal liberation. They merged into his existence, which is not as advanced as personal liberation, but still, that if they deserved. And it's something that even the great yogis aspire for after so many lifetimes of austerities, to merge into Krishna's body. Krishna gave it away for free to the demons. Krishna is so great that even his enemies, those he kills, receive so much benefit. The third excellence of Lord Krishna's appearance was that the goddess of fortune, who is worshipped by all the demigods, remained always in the service of the Lord, even though the Lord gave more preference to the gopis. The fourth excellence of Lord Krishna's appearance concerns the glories of his name. It is stated in the Vedic literature that by chanting the different names of Vishnu 1,000 times, one may be bestowed with the same benefits as 3 times chanting the holy name of Lord Rama. And by chanting the holy name of Lord Krishna only once, one receives the same benefit. The Vedic literature therefore specifically stresses the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Lord Chaitanya introduced this chanting of the holy name of Krishna in this age, thus making liberation much more easily obtainable than in any other age. In other words, Lord Krishna is more excellent than his incarnations, although all of them are equally the same personality of Godhead. The fifth excellence of Lord Krishna's appearance is that he established the most excellent of all religious principles by his one statement in the Bhagavad Gita that simply by surrendering unto him one can discharge all the principles of all religious rites. By the mercy of Lord Krishna, not only has this void of Kali Yuga been completely filled, but the religious process has been made so easy that simply by rendering transcendental loving service unto Lord Krishna by chanting his names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, one can achieve the highest result of religion, namely transference to the highest planet within the spiritual world. Considering all this, one can immediately appreciate the benefit of Lord Krishna's appearance on the earth, and understand that his giving relief to the people of the world by his appearance was not at all extraordinary. One of the things Prabhupada says here, the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, are so powerful that simply by hearing, reading, and memorizing this book, Krishna, one is sure to be transferred to the spiritual world, which is ordinarily very difficult to achieve. Wow. The description of the pastimes of Lord Krishna is so attractive that it automatically gives us an impetus to study repeatedly. And the more we study the pastimes of the Lord, the more we become attached to him. This very attachment to Krishna makes one eligible to be transferred to his abode, Goloka Vrindavan. Hare Krishna. We'll end on that note. Shri Krishna Book Ki Jai. Hari Bol. All right. Let's take any reflections on anything you experienced, heard, questions, comments on the entire Krishna book. We have like 20 minutes. Eileen.
Hi, Krishna. Thank you so much for all this time and this care and the preparation you put into all of this. I think, what you just said about hearing this book and what it can do for a devotee and its impact on our own liberation. I feel very fortunate to have you guide us through this and hopefully have some of that come true for each of us. So thank you so, so very much. My reflection is really simple. When we started this, I can't even like way back when, right? I looked at this and as an opportunity to get to know Krishna better, right? And we talked about how you can't really love somebody or develop, a deep friendship with somebody until you like get to know them and where they came from and how they grew up and what they like and, who they love and the challenges they've gone through and all of those beautiful things help us, get closer to a human person. And as Kishori reflected earlier, there's so much in these texts that really can help us with our material relationships. How we have disagreements with our, a spouse or a significant other or a friend and not like battling them, but like, looking at those modes and not only, can we apply that to our own lives here on this planet in this lifetime, but also to this beautiful growing relationship with Krishna. So I just think it's it's been a beautiful time to reflect not only on, how can I use this in my life in the here and now to upgrade and treat others with more respect and see Krishna in everybody and, you know, how do I serve the devotees and, ultimately, but, it then brings us, through this beautiful opportunity and relationship on this planet to then expand that and understand how can we have a relationship with Krishna. So I just am so thankful to have gotten to know Krishna better. I feel like, I always, the kind of mood I always look at is like Krishna is like, as Achuta Gopi calls like the supreme bestie. And I feel like I've gotten to be much better friends with Krishna. I think that there's, so much more I want to know. And now I'm even more curious and want to love him even more. And so I think this has just created a spark to dig deeper with some of this. So that's my simple reflection. And I think, my goal at the beginning of this, which was, again, to get to know Krishna better was really achieved. And I thank you and Kishori both for opening your homes and your hearts and your time for us to have that experience.
Hi. Thanks for that. Well, we're so happy and honored to serve. It's been a lot of fun. And yeah, I echo that we've gotten to know Krishna a little bit better and become more and more curious about him. Jai. Julia, and then Shakti.
Hare Krishna. I'm grateful to have been able to have jumped in for this last class. I've been a little bit out of touch, but what is feeling true for me is that not only has the reading of the Krishna book, but just the Shastra classes in general, it's been really like trust building within my bhakti and relationship with Krishna for sure. Actually took a walk once and I found this really small stone, and on the stone it said, "The ultimate expression of love is trust." And I really just find not only the Krishna book, but these classes in general have been helping to cultivate a sense of trust so that I can then keep making spiritual choices that then cultivate, more bhakti, more connection, revelation and clarity. And something that I think I wasn't expecting through the Krishna book was how much Shastra or Shastra from like other texts that we've read is woven into this and almost like incepted. And I think, learning to love and trust Krishna it's a tall order, but I've always gotten what I've needed through this book too. And I think that's almost been the most surprising to me.
Jai. Yeah. The developing of trust is like a very subtle thing. It can't be like faked, It's not an ecclesiastical function. It's not like a belief system. It's a very deep thing. And hearing about Krishna and having questions answered and exploring and just like the prolonged hearing and chanting that we're doing, it has such a powerful effect. Really, like that's like one of the themes of the Bhagavatam. It keeps coming up. It just came up right now. What Prabhupada said, like, that here just by hearing this book and memorizing it and listening to it over and over again, one becomes qualified in and of itself. Just by doing that, one becomes qualified to be transferred to the spiritual world because it is potent enough. So this theme of like getting together in Sangha and hearing and chanting, this is what we're going to do for the rest of our lives. We're not going to stop. Prabhupada did it. Lord Chaitanya did it. It's good enough for them. It's good enough for us. And yeah, like it's such a wonderful thing to see how, oh wow, my trust in the Supreme is like actually deeper. And because then yeah, you can choose like actually organically really I want to chant jop. I want to like be with the devotees. I want to like serve Krishna. And what a gift that is, right? Not just be prodded and pushed to do it. That's pretty good, I guess. But better than that is like, what if you had a taste? What if you like just like trusted Krishna and let him hold you and just receive that? What a place to be. So I'm really happy to hear that it's working on you as it's working on all of us.
And she's
Jai.
in the Denver temple.
Yeah, you just spent like a week in an ashram.
She's back there for a month.
Oh, you're there right now?
Yeah.
Hari bol.
I'm not in the ashram, but that was also, I mean, this does feel like a pretty full expression of this too, is to make that choice. It really felt empowered and through something that wasn't of my material like design. And I've really, I know myself, and it's a total testament to, years of choosing to put myself in front of this, even when it still goes down like poison, but it's all, it's happening.
Poison in the beginning, nectar in the end. Yeah, that's my old stomping ground by Radha Govinda's Mercy. Waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you're like, what? And you get up and you're dancing in front of Radha Govinda, and it's like, we are the luckiest people in the whole universe right here. So, never gets old. Drink it in. Give them our obeisances. Especially Mother Nidra. We miss her. Hare Krishna. And Shakti was next.
I wasn't going to say anything just because I've said a lot today. I'm just going to echo everything that Eileen said. But I'm just going to add that, yeah, like the Krishna book, I just keep going deeper and deeper. And I'm also taking Shastri right now. And I was talking to Tanya today about just spiritual classes that we're taking and what we're doing. And it's like, we're not talking about like, what bar to go to? We're talking about like, oh, you're taking the disciple course? What disciple course are you taking? So it's just like a whole different part of me. But I have to, if I don't thank you and Kishore, like I am in Canada, but feel so welcome in Vermont, feel like a Vermontian. I don't know if that's how you say it, but like this is by choice that I have. Initially, I came with you guys, and then it has been such a wonderful ride, and I'm not getting off anytime soon. And it's so,
Have you?
I am so lucky for all of you because, I'm like alone here in Canada. Like Toronto Temple is like 2.5 hours from me. And I just this is where I feel comfortable. I feel so loved and warm here. Like I feel warm and cozy. Like if I feel like I could jump through the screen and sit on Nancy's lap, you know? Yes. Like I feel like I could, and it's like that's how I want to learn and hear and chant and Shastra about Krishna and Krishna book and whatever book we're on to next. That is how I want to feel when I'm doing that. And I can't thank you and Kishori enough for holding space and for all of this because it is so deep in my heart and in my soul. So I'm really grateful for all of you. So
We're so happy that you're here. That goes for all of you. And we're just getting if you're feeling the potency of it, it's because we're trying to represent what we've received from our spiritual masters who have made hearing and chanting about Krishna their life and soul. Shishika Prabhu, Srila Nath Swami, Srila Prabhupada, they just live and breathe Krishna, and by their potency, we're all kind of floating along and getting some taste. And so whatever we've received, we're trying to represent for all of you. And if you're the fact that you're getting something means that despite my own, despite our own shortcomings, you're getting the real thing. So it's here, it's real, it works, and we're gonna take a week off after this, just to catch our breath. I always say it's the hardest week is taking the week off. I don't like it, but we're gonna pick up after that. I mean, you know what it'll do? It'll let you give you a chance to read the whole 87 chapters. What it'll do, so that's cool. And then we're gonna pick up with a new cohort, and we're gonna start reading the first canto. We're gonna do a whole first canto thing, just the first canto. We're not gonna read every verse. We're not gonna read every word, but we're gonna read the first canto. It's of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We're going to do a whole thing on that and summarize it and all the pastimes and all the philosophy. Prabhupada, in many ways, he actually said he put everything he had into the first canto in his purports. They're very, very powerful. And in the first two cantos especially, but of the two, especially the first, Prabhupada really does some very deep things in his purports. He really presents the whole philosophy, because he did, in many ways he didn't know if he'd have the time. He wrote it when he was in India before he came to the West. His commentary and translation. He was already very, very old, and it's very special. I think it actually is my favorite canto out of all of them. And it's hard to say that because they're all really special, but there's just so much nectar in it. And for those who've been following the Friday Bhagavatam classes, we already have read Narada's instructions of Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, most of chapter 2, Divinity and Divine Service. We're on Queen Kunti's Prayers chapter 8, but there's a lot in Canto 1, and we're going to go through all of it. So that's what we decided to do. And I'm going to take a week to create the structure, because I've never done it before, but we're going to just do it. Haribol. So since you're talking about, you want to be in, that's what we're doing next. Sneak preview. You're all welcome. Invite your friends. Yeah. Invite the dogs and cats. They're all welcome. Get everybody in here. Any more reflections? We have a few minutes.
Allison, sorry.
Allison and Nancy.
Oh my God, I just lost my train of thought. Also, I have so much gratitude for your time and sharing of all your wisdom with us. And I really appreciated this rewind, like Eileen had said, and this getting to know Krishna, because it really gave a lot of clarity to some of the other books that we read.
Yeah.
And I noticed a shift even just reading the Bhagavad Gita last night, just felt so much more familiar, I guess, and just easier to understand and apply and go through. So I'd wondered, like, what is the right order to read all these texts? And would it be different to read the Krishna book first and get to know Krishna from the beginning and then go into other texts? But I'm glad to have been able to go back and have a little more clarity.
Yeah, it's like a tapestry. Because they're not separate, they're all saying the same thing from different points of view. One was more pastimes, one is more philosophy, one is Krishna talking, one is his devotees talking about Krishna, this and that. But they're all saying the same basic thing. So therefore, our masters, our acharyas, like Srila Prabhupada, when they speak, they can and do draw on all of them regularly. You're seeing you're seeing, Eileen is seeing, what we're all seeing is that Prabhupada is like expertly weaving Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, modern analogies, this political example, this economic reality, this historical example, and they're all just kind of like making the same points. And a master can do that. So we're just trying to like follow in those footsteps. And, I'm really glad that it's happening for you.
Yeah.
For all or many or some of you, that you're getting like more and more familiar and more, the threads are tightening, like the tapestry is becoming more clear that it's all connected. That was really a level up for me, because the more I read, I realized, wow, Prabhupada knows all these books inside out. He really does. He really, really does. And it's so comforting to know that you're under the shelter of masters like that. This Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, the six Goswamis, who are like they've given themselves to these shastras, and that the more you read them and hear them, the more they become connected and part of you. They become like friends. In fact, for me, one of the great levels up this year, or like highlights this year, was it this year? Actually, it was a year ago. So this calendar year, not calendar, like this 12-month period, but I taught the Nectar of Devotion for the first time. I'd never taught that book before. And I was a little nervous about it because it's a very deep book, and I didn't feel I had as much familiarity with it as I do like Bhagavad Gita and other things. And I tried my best, and by Rupa Goswami's mercy, because he wrote that book, things happened. And when I was in Vrindavan, I went to Rupa Goswami's place in Terrakadamba, and I felt so much closer to him than I ever had before. And I realized it because I tried to be of service in a new way. And I was like, wow, like, there are people behind all this. They're great people. And these Shastras are living. Like, you can develop a relationship with the Krishna book, and like 30 years from now, you'd be like, wow, look at my humble beginnings of my relationship with this book. And now I can't put it down. I love this book so much. Or maybe it's Bhagavad Gita, or, who knows? It's all very personal. So we'll see you in 30 years. Here, we'll see what happens, but it's happening now. Nancy, then Pam.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll see me in 30 years, but maybe I could be 99. That could be good. But thank you so much. I just really wanted to say thank you. And I also want to thank the Sangha for your reflections, because they've added so much to my
100%.
understanding, and exactly what you just said, Sham, about, I'm reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita with a devotee, a senior devotee, and I've been like, for the last half a year, I'm going like, I don't know what, yes, I know that Mayavadis are rascals now, but this is really confusing. And all of a sudden started to click. Things started to click, because this is showing me a different perspective and a broader perspective, and not just sitting in the Bhagavad Gita only, but the Krishna book and the other books is starting to, as you said, weave together a knowledge, so that it's no longer that I have to try to remember what the dude in the cave's name was, but I'm starting to feel it from my head to my heart, and my heart to my head, the lessons of these teachings. So thank you so much, everyone.
You're welcome. His name was Machakunda.
Yeah, well, I'll remember that.
It's okay. Pam, Tanya. And Aaron in the chat says, I'm most grateful for your steadiness, Kishori and Shami, to show up for this Sangha week after week. Even when some of us cannot attend in person, you're unwavering. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Yeah, we love the contributions on WhatsApp. We always felt your presence live, and the YouTube contingent, and it's like, it's not defined by space and time. It's a very deep thing. So we're glad that it worked for you. It really, we're more than happy to do it.
My turn.
Yeah, your turn.
My turn. My turn. Oh, I'm unmuted too. So I just want to, of course, reiterate what everybody else has said. Thanking you both for doing this class. When I came into it, this was my first time reading a book like this. Didn't really know what to expect, and I could never have gotten an inkling of what I've gotten from the book if it wasn't for all of you being here with your reflections and helping me to see a whole different depth to what was going on and what was happening. I've wanted the past year to learn. I want to learn. I want to know everything, but I realized that I don't need to know the king's names or Sanskrit, or I just really need to know Krishna. And I got that so much from the book, but just from all of you and all your reflections and all that's given me has been really amazing. I also love to go back to the beginning, where George Harrison dedicated the book and said, everybody's looking for Krishna. They don't know they are, but they are. And that, I can make things really complicated in my head, but this just makes it just very simple. So I appreciate all of you and all of your reflections that have really, really helped me change a lot of things in my life, mostly open my heart to love of Krishna and love of all of you. So thank you all so much.
Yeah, it's the Sankirtan movement. We're getting together and hearing the glorification and realizations and perspectives of other devotees is like super, super, super valuable, and hyper accelerates your growth 100%. So yeah, I definitely, and Kishori, we both feel the same way about all of your association. Thank you. Tanya?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that the Shastra classes, and especially this one, there's so much here. They're intellectually stimulating, they're heart opening, they're emotionally nourishing, and they're providing daily guidance all the time. Like any situation, you can go to the Shastra now because you've given us this training and find something that you need, some guidance. So the books themselves are just absolutely amazing, but the way that your delivery, is so sweet, so thoughtful, so funny. You're funny. Sometimes you're just really funny, and it's great. And it makes it really nice to be learning from you and Kishori. And I just love you guys, and I love all of us that are in this learning together. It's such a wonderful association, such a wonderful service that you're doing for all of us, and I just wanted to let you know that. So thank you.
Right back at you. So, any other reflections? Don't be afraid to also just share on our WhatsApp. We're going to keep things going. We're going to read, even though we're not going to meet on next Tuesday, and we're going to keep things going in the WhatsApp. And then
I'll send an email tomorrow.
Yeah, Kishore is going to send an email about the next cohort. Try and get the word out. Invite any devotees you know. We just want to get everybody in here to hear about Bhagavatam. And yeah, any other last words before we conclude?
Yeah, I would love to thank all of you, because we would still have Shastra class. Shami would sit and teach me here, which is so special, and sharing in this transcendental sound vibration and learning and engaging in an aspect of the 6 loving exchanges, like sharing our hearts in confidence and then receiving it from others is really irreplaceable. And I feel so fortunate that we get to be surrounded by all of you who are also interested in raising your consciousness, interested in falling in love with Krishna and bringing that into every aspect of your life. And how fortunate are we that we get to serve you and receive from you. And I feel like I've done nothing other than play a little kirtan and do the, I don't know, the registration. Aaron does the announcement. So I basically thank you, Aaron, for doing all of those announcements and sharing the reminders and encouraging us all to show up together. And thank you to Shamya for being said. It's like there's, when in doubt, I'm like, should we have class this week? Yes. Shamya is like the epitome of steadiness. And really, if the only thing you could do every day, all day with your time is to chant and to preach Shastra, that's what you would do. So thank you for sharing your devotion and bhakti with all of us.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Well, I just feel like I'm getting all this praise and all that, but I'm just like a little leaf being carried by the water. We're getting so much from our spiritual masters, and there's so much mercy flowing. And I feel as lucky as anybody. I always say Tuesday night's my favorite night. It really is, since we started our Shastra classes 3 years ago or whatever now. So we're going to keep it going. Somehow we got through the whole Krishna book. We did it. It took 3 cohorts. We did it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Our longest study yet.
All right. Well, yeah, let's have the Maha Mantra together one time. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama, Hare Hare.
Shri Krishna Book ki jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Let's offer our respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who are full of compassion on all fallen conditioned souls. Vancha kalpatrupiascha, kripasintubi evacha, patitanam pavanepyo, Vaishnavepyo namo namah. Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Crew, WhatsApp crew,
Crew.
demigods, demons.
Thank you, everybody, for your
Thank you.
association.
See you in a couple weeks, hopefully.
Yeah.
for
Yep.
Krishna.
See you
Thank
soon.
you all. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank
Night
you.
night.
Thank you, Krishna.
Night.
Krishna.